Hello, my name is Christine Gillum, and today the lesson is about the vowels and their two basic sounds. We will focus a little bit more on the short vowel sound, but we're going to learn both sounds today. This lesson was designed for grades K through 2, but everyone is welcome to join in as always. The only thing you need for this lesson is your good listener skills and to say the sounds and letter names when I ask you to. After the lesson, I will ask you to practice these sounds and I'll explain how then. So we have the vowels here. They are all listed out. A, E, I, O, U. It's important that you know the vowels because every word has a vowel in it, at least one, and every word part of longer words has a vowel in it, at least one. These are very important sounds for every reader to know, and that's why I'm spending this time on them today. So we're going to start with the letter names. I will say them, and I want you to say them after me. Ready? My turn. A. Your turn. E. I. O. U. And just for a little more practice, because it's so important, I'm going to practice them in little groups. A, E. Your turn. I, O, your turn. U. Now I'm going to say them all, and then I'm going to point to them and ask you to say them all. Ready? A, E, I, O, U. Now it's your turn. Well, I hope you are getting those because these names of the letters are also the long vowel sound. The long vowel sound will be in a word when the letters here have a helper letter. Sometimes it's silent E and sometimes it's letter pairs. And we will practice that a little further in other lessons, and other teachers may have taught you about silent E and vowel pairs. Today we're going to focus a little more on the short vowel sounds. Now, when you learn the alphabet the first time, your teacher might say something like, A is for apple, E is for egg, I is for igloo, O is for octopus, U is for umbrella. That's not just for fun. There's a reason for it. Each of those words helps you remember the short vowel sound when you're reading. So when the letter A is making the short vowel sound, that sound is ah. This letter E, the short vowel sound, is eh. This letter I, the short vowel sound, is I. The short vowel sound for O is ah. The short vowel sound for U is okay? So if you see this letter by itself in a word or word part, it usually makes this sound. It is very important that you learn the short vowel sound of every letter. Let's practice. The short vowel sound of A is ah, like apple. You say ah. What word is that like? That's right, apple. The short vowel sound of E is eh, like egg. You say that, eh. What word has that sound? That's right, egg. The short vowel sound of I is I, like the word igloo. You say that, I. And what sound is that like? The word, that's right, igloo. The short vowel sound of O is ah, like the word octopus. You say that sound, ah. And what word is that like? You say it. That's right, octopus. The short vowel sound of U is like umbrella. You say that, What word is that like? That's right, umbrella. Now, I'm not sure how much time we have left, but we want to practice that. So, here is a word. To read this word, we are going to read each letter sound on its own. But I want to check and make sure that you know these 4 letter sounds, because these are the 4 letters that we're going to work on. T, P, B, and M. T says T, P says P, B says B, and M says M. Now those will be in these words. Now we're going to segment each sound before we blend. A, T. Your turn. A, T. Now we want to blend it, and we want to blend it long so we still hear each sound. At. And we can speed that up and do it just a little bit faster. Mat. And then we say it normally, like if we were reading the word in a story. Mat. The cat sat on a mat. Let's try that again with a new word. Now we have this letter in the middle. We go back to our chart and we know it's going to say eh. So we're going to segment out the sounds. Eh, t. Now you do it. Now we're going to slide it long and slow and blend it together. Et. A little faster. Met. And now say it normally, like you were reading the word. Met. Let's hear you read the word. I hope you said met. Good job. Now we're looking at a new word. We want to look at that middle sound. Make sure we know the short vowel sound is ah, because this letter is alone. Ah for O. And we're going to segment out these sounds. Ah, P. Your turn. Now we want to blend those sounds. Long blend so we hear each sound. Ah, P. You do it. A little bit faster. Mop. Your turn. Now, just like we were reading a book, how would we say that word? Mop. Now it's your turn. You're doing a great job on these short vowel sounds. Well, now we have a new letter in the middle and so a new sound at the beginning. This sound is T. And this sound is A. And this sound is M. T, A, M. It's your turn to sound that out one letter at a time. T, A, M. Now we're going to make that slide long and slow. We're going to blend it out as long as we can. Am. It's your turn. Maybe a little faster now. Tam. Your turn. And now we're just going to say the word like we were reading it in the story. Tam. Your turn. Good job. Our next word has a different sound in the middle. Let's check on that. The short vowel sound for I is I. So we have the vowel and we're ready to go. I'm going to segment the sounds. T, I, Now you do it. I'm going to blend it out long and slow. Tim. Now you do it. A little faster. Tim. Your turn. Now, say it with me just like you were reading this name in a story. Tim. Now do it by yourself. When you come to a word you don't know, this is a great way to decode that word, one letter at a time, and then use blending. So, first we will go t, ah, How did I know to say ah? This letter is by itself. It's going to say its short vowel sound. O is for octopus. So I remembered ah. So let's segment again. T, ah, Your turn. Now let's blend it out long. Tom. Your turn. Now a little faster. Tom. Your turn. And now just normally as if we were reading this name in a story. Tom. Your turn. Well, I don't think I have time for any more words today, but I will bring this lesson back to you again, and we will work on some ways to do the long vowel sounds. So remember, to work on these important basic sounds of the vowels, you can practice by looking at words all around your surroundings, anywhere you can find them, on boxes, on signs, in magazines and books, even on the internet. If you see a word, practice that vowel sound. It was wonderful to see you today, and I can't wait to see you next time for the next lesson. I'm Christine Gillum, and it is time for me to say goodbye. But remember, practice reading every day.
Kindergarten is great at Kansas City Public Schools.
I know they have really good teachers. I know this is a great school.
They teach them stuff that I thought my kids would never be able to know at the age of 5.
Since deciding to send our kiddos to a neighborhood school, we've become even more of a part of our community.
Now is the time to enroll your future kindergartner for the new school year. Visit enrollkc.org today.
I love Southeast because of the culture, the band program, and restorative justice.
I love Southeast because of the academics, sports, and students.
I love Southeast because of the people, the energy, and the advanced classes.
It's not a like. I love Southeast because the students here at Southeast are full of potential and they believe in achieving anything. We are Southeast. Southeast. We stand shoulder to shoulder.
Join the Southeast family. Enroll today.
Hi friends, my name is Mrs. Bell and I'm here to read you a story and to talk about character traits. Today we're going to read the story The Gruffalo. What I want you to think about when you're reading is I want you to think about the mouse. How could you describe the mouse? The definition of character traits is words that describe a character's personality or qualities that make them who they are. I want you to think, how would you describe the character to a friend? So if you had to talk about the mouse, how would you describe them to a friend? Let's get started. The Gruffalo. A mouse took a stroll through the deep dark wood. A fox saw the mouse and the mouse looked good. Where are you going to, little brown mouse? Come and have lunch in my underground house. It's terribly kind of you, fox, but no, I'm going to have lunch with a Gruffalo. A Gruffalo? What's a Gruffalo? A Gruffalo, why didn't you know? He has terrible tusks and terrible claws and terrible teeth in his terrible jaws. Where are you meeting him? Here by these rocks. And his favorite food is roasted fox. Roasted fox! Oh my, fox said. Goodbye, little mouse, and away he sped. Silly old fox, doesn't he know there's no such thing as a Gruffalo? On with the mouse to the deep dark wood. An owl saw the mouse and the mouse looked good. Where are you going to, little brown mouse? Join me for tea in my treetop house. It's frightfully nice of you, owl, but no, I'm going to have tea with a Gruffalo. A Gruffalo? What's a Gruffalo? A Gruffalo, why didn't you know? He has knobbly knees and turned out toes and a poisonous wart at the end of his nose. Where are you meeting him? Here by this stream. And his favorite food is owl ice cream. Owl ice cream! To-wit, to-hoo! Goodbye, little mouse, and away owl flew. Silly old owl, doesn't he know there's no such thing as a Gruffalo? On with the mouse to the deep dark wood. A snake saw the mouse and the mouse looked good. Where are you going to, little brown mouse? Come for a feast in my log pile house. It's wonderfully good of you, snake, but no, I'm having a feast with a Gruffalo. A Gruffalo? What's a Gruffalo? A Gruffalo? Why didn't you know? His eyes are orange, his tongue is black, he has purple prickles all over his back. Where are you meeting him? Here by this lake. And his favorite food is scrambled snake. Scrambled snake! It's time I hid. Goodbye, little mouse, and away snake slid. Silly old snake, doesn't he know there's no such thing as a Gruffalo? But who is this creature with terrible claws and terrible teeth in his terrible jaws? He has knobbly knees and turned out toes and a poisonous wart at the end of his nose. His eyes are orange, his tongue is black. He has purple prickles all over his back. Oh, help! Oh no, it's a Gruffalo! My favorite food, the Gruffalo said. You'll taste good on a slice of bread. Good, said the mouse. Don't call me good. I'm the scariest creature in the deep dark wood. Just walk behind me and soon you'll see everyone is afraid of me. Oh, sure, said the Gruffalo, bursting with laughter. You lead and I'll follow after. They walked and walked till the Gruffalo said, I hear a hiss in the grass ahead. It's Snake, said the mouse. Why, Snake, hello. Snake took one look at the Gruffalo. Oh dear, he said, goodbye, little mouse, and slid right into his log pile house. You see, said Mouse, I told you so. Amazing, said the Gruffalo. They walked some more till the Gruffalo said, I hear a hoot in the trees ahead. It's Owl, said the Mouse. Why, Owl, hello. Owl took one look at the Gruffalo. Boo-hoo, he said. Goodbye, little mouse, and flew right up to his treetop house. You see, said Mouse, I told you so. Astounding, said the Gruffalo. They walked some more till the Gruffalo said, I hear some paws on the path ahead. It's Fox, said the Mouse. Why, Fox, hello. Fox took one look at the Gruffalo. Oh, help, he said. Goodbye, little mouse, and ran right into his underground house. The mouse said, Gruffalo, now you see, everyone is afraid of me. But now my tummy is starting to rumble and my favorite food is Gruffalo crumble. "Gruffalo crumble," the Gruffalo cried, and quick as the wind he turned and fled. All was quiet in the deep dark wood. The mouse found a nut, and the nut was good. The end. Okay, friends, now that we've finished our reading the Gruffalo, I have made something to help us with our character traits. This is our mouse. These are the character traits that I thought would describe him. Now remember, character traits are words that describe a character's personality or qualities that make them who they are. Remember, you were to think about how you would describe the mouse while we were reading? So what I did is I took some words that I thought described the mouse. We have tricky, smart, sneaky, funny, a quick thinker, and brave. Do you agree with those? I thought they were good too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick two. I'm going to put them in the trait box. We are going to write a sentence with it, in a complete sentence, and then we're going to do trait 2 and do the same thing. This one down here you're going to do on your own at home. So if you need a second, go get a piece of paper so you can take notes while we're doing this. Okay, so what we're going to do, I picked tricky first. Tricky. Now think about how the mouse is tricky. So when we start our sentence, we always want to start it with repeating our question back into our answer. So we are talking about the character traits. So we want to say, the mouse is tricky because, and then we'll talk about how we figure that out. So I wrote, the mouse is tricky because he. So think about what he did in the story. Why is he tricky? So when I think about the mouse and how he was tricky, I think about how when one of the animals, like the fox, asked him in to have a treat, he said, no, I'm going to have lunch with a Gruffalo. So we're going to put that into a sentence. The mouse is tricky because he fooled the animals by telling them he was meeting. Ran out of lines. That happens all the time to us, doesn't it? So remember that all sentences start with a capital letter and end with a punctuation. So I said, the mouse is tricky because he fooled the animals by telling them he was meeting the Gruffalo. Do you agree with that? I thought that one was good. So we're going to use the same strategy that we used with tricky with another trait. Which one do you think would be the best? Brave, quick thinker, funny, smart, or sneaky? What do you think? I thought so too. I think I'm going to use brave. I'll put brave there. So how do you think we're going to start our sentence again? How do you think? Should we use our sentence starter? The mouse is brave because he... I think so too. The mouse is brave because he... Think about the story. What part of the story did the mouse seem brave to you? Now, I don't know about you, but if I see an animal that looks like the Gruffalo, I'm going to run and I'm going to go hide somewhere. Did the mouse do that? No, he didn't. What he did is he went with the Gruffalo and said, everyone is scared of me, and the Gruffalo didn't believe him, right? But that was brave because the animals could have said, oh, pfft, and they ate him or something, you know? So let's write that down in a sentence, in a complete thought. The mouse is brave because he... Let's think. told the Gruffalo that everyone was afraid of him and took him to meet everyone? Does that sound okay? I think so. The mouse is brave because he took the Gruffalo to show him everyone. Remember, he said everyone is afraid of me. And you can use that because it's from your text. Everyone is that looks good. Okay, so remember our trait is brave. We put it in a complete sentence with a capital letter and punctuation. We used our sentence stem. The mouse is brave because, and we made a complete thought. Pretty simple. The mouse is brave because he took the Gruffalo to show him everyone is afraid of me. So we might want to put quotes around that, right? Because we took it from the book. Those mean that you took it from the author and it's not your independent thought. So remember that if you're quoting a book or an author or somebody else's thoughts, you have to put quotations around it. So let's review. Today we read the book The Gruffalo. We talked about what character traits were. Character traits are words that describe a character's personality or qualities that make them who they are. Remember to think, how would you describe the character to your friends? Then we read the book. Then we did our trait chart, character traits. Trait 1 was tricky. We put it into his complete sentence with a capital letter and a period. Trait 2, brave, capital letter, period. We talked about quotations briefly. Now what you're going to do at home is you're going to use what you learned here today and you're going to find trait 3. You're going to write it in a complete thought using a capital letter and a punctuation. Thank you so much for joining me today. Remember, my name is Mrs. Bell. Thank you for reading The Gruffalo and talking about character traits. Have a wonderful day, friends.
Kindergarten is great at Kansas City Public Schools.
I know they have really good teachers. I know this is a great school.
They teach them stuff that I thought my kids would never be able to know at the age of 5.
Since deciding to send our kiddos to a neighborhood school, we've become even more of a part of our community.
Now is the time to enroll your future kindergartner for the new school year. Visit enrollkc.org today.
The desire to create lives within each of us. From Grammy-winning producers and musicians, to NBA stars, to Navy admirals and Medal of Honor recipients, to internationally renowned artists and beloved local muralists, Paseo graduates have been creating their own success, their own history, their own legacy since 1926. Now it's your time. Create your future at Paseo Academy of Fine and Performing Arts. Learn more at enrollkc.org/Paseo.
Hi everyone, this is Miss Lu, and today we're going to have Chinese for level 2 students. Okay, so today we're going to learn about 衣服, clothes. So like usual, we're going to do a quick review of last time. So last time we learned about colors, 颜色. So let's do a review together. First, together, 红色, 红色, the color red. 橙色, 橙色, color orange. 黄色, 黄色, the color yellow. And then 绿色, 绿色, the color green. 蓝色, 蓝色, blue. 紫色, 紫色, purple. Then we have 黑色, 黑色, the color black. And then 白色, 白色, the color white. And then we have 棕色, 棕色, which is brown. Okay, so today we're going to learn about clothes. And our goal today is I can describe what one wears. And today our focus will be a little bit higher level. So focus will be on level 2 Chinese, and then we're going to write some characters today. Okay, so like usual, you are going to need your notebook and a pencil to take notes. Okay, give you 10 seconds to get ready to learn. Okay, so first I would like to introduce the vocabulary that we're going to cover today. So here, first, read after me together. Let's go over the vocabulary. T-shirt. T-shirt. T-shirt means t-shirt. Okay, t-shirt. And to combine the things we learned about color from last time, 什么颜色的? So what color is this T-shirt? This is, together, 绿色的 T-shirt. 绿色的 T-shirt. So when you describe the color of the clothes, you will say the color first and then the clothes. Okay? 绿色的 T-shirt. Second vocabulary for today, 卫衣. 卫衣. And 什么颜色的? 什么颜色的? So what color of this 卫衣? This is 就是红色的卫衣。红色的卫衣。So this is a red hoodie. 卫衣 hoodie. 这是裤子。裤子。So all kinds of pants, no matter it's jeans or shorts, they all can be called pants. All can be called 裤子, okay, as pants. 裤子. And 什么颜色的? 什么颜色的? And this is 就是黑色的裤子。黑色的裤子. Okay, 黑色的裤子。这是裙子。裙子. So all kinds of different dresses or skirts, they can be called 裙子。裙子。And 什么颜色的？什么颜色的？ So what color is it? 这是蓝色的裙子。蓝色的裙子。So this one is a blue dress. 蓝色的裙子。And then the last word we're going to learn today is 鞋子。鞋子。鞋子 means shoes. All kinds of shoes can be called 鞋子。鞋子 Okay? And 这是什么颜色的？什么颜色的？这是白色的鞋子。白色的鞋子 Okay? 白色的鞋子 a pair of white shoes. Okay, let's go over the vocabulary. These are the 5 vocabulary we're going to learn today. We will take notes together later. So now let's focus on the pronunciation. Okay, together after me. T-shirt. T-shirt. 卫衣。卫衣。裙子。裙子。裤子。裤子。鞋子。鞋子。And if you would like to add the color too, the color will come before the piece of the clothes. Okay, so for example, a green t-shirt would be 绿色的 T-shirt. 这是红色的卫衣。这是蓝色的裙子。这是黑色的裤子。这是白色的鞋子。Okay, so these are the vocabulary we're going to cover today. And now I would like you to do an activity on your notebook with me, okay? Which is called 画画, 画画, draw, okay? And I would like you to draw a picture of the piece of the cloth the word I say. For example, I say T-shirt, T-shirt, and then on your notebook you'll draw a simple T-shirt. Okay, so let's do a practice and see if you can remember this vocabulary. Okay, so get ready. The first one, I would like you to draw 裙子, 裙子. So which one is 裙子? 裙子, 裙子. Are you done? So 裙子 is the dress. Okay, 裙子, the dress. Do you get this one correct? 裙子. And then next one, I would like you to draw on your notebook 裤子, 裤子, 裤子. Okay, which one is 裤子? 裤子. Ready? So the 裤子 is the pants. Okay, 裤子, 裤子, pants. Do you get this one correct? And then we're going to do a final one. So I would like you to draw a 卫衣 on your notebook. 卫衣, 卫衣. So which one is 卫衣? 卫衣, 卫衣. Ready? So 卫衣 is the hoodie. Okay, so 卫衣, 卫衣. Do you get all the three correct? So these are the vocabulary we're going to learn today. And now I would like you to take notes together with me. So I'm going to write the pinyin and the characters for this vocabulary, and I would like you to write it down with me on your notebook so you have something to review with. Okay, so get ready. So T-shirt. When you write T-shirt, the pinyin, so we use just the letter T, okay? And then the pinyin for shirt, X, U, and with a fourth tone on the letter U, T-shirt, and the character, so just letter T, and then shirt, write it together. 点 数 点 撇 数 横数 数数 and then the last stroke 横. Okay, T-shirt, T-shirt, which is means T-shirt, T-shirt. And then next one we have 卫衣 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 hoodie. Okay, 卫衣 is simpler to write. So for 卫 横竖 go with one stroke, and then 竖 横 that's 卫 and then 衣 点 横 撇 竖钩 撇捺 卫衣 hoodie. Okay, 卫衣. Then next one we have 裤子 So 裤 with the fourth tone, 字 is toneless. There's no tone mark on it. Okay, 裤子 点 横撇 竖 点点 点 横 竖撇 横 斜横 横 树 and 字 is easy to write 横折 then one go then 横 okay 裤子 all kinds of pants and the next one is 裙子 all kinds of dresses okay 裙子 点 横撇 so the left part of 裙 is the same as 裤 as the one in the pants okay 横竖 横 撇 and then you write the mouth radical which is a square at the bottom that's 裙 and the 字 is the same character okay and the one radical a new radical for this unit is this one this radical if you see this radical it has something to do with clothes okay it's the clothes radical and the next one we have 鞋子 鞋子 together 横 竖横 竖 横竖 横 then 竖 横 竖 横 okay and then the same thing again 鞋 and then 字 鞋子 shoes okay 鞋子 shoes so these are the vocabulary we learned for today then let's do a review together T 恤 卫衣 裙子 裤子 鞋子 okay so 他穿了什么 what does he or she wear and then you can say 他穿了 for example this one 他穿了橙色的 T 恤 you can add the color to it 他穿了橙色的 T 恤蓝色的裤子和红色的鞋子 okay 他穿了什么他穿了橙色的 T 恤蓝色的裤子和红色的鞋子 okay so this is the sentences you are going to use to describe 他穿了 okay so that's our lesson for today so to conclude I would like to give you a homework which is ask you to describe 你穿了什么 okay so we have done some practices for Chinese 2 students in class and I would like you to do a review of this 你穿了什么 okay 你穿了什么 so that's conclude our lesson for today and this is Chinese for level 2 this week and I'll see you next week in world languages
Southeast because of the culture, the bank program, and restorative justice.
I love Southeast because of the academics, sports, and students.
I love Southeast because of the people, the energy, and the advanced classes.
It's not alike. I love Southeast because the students here at Southeast are full of potential and they believe in achieving anything. We are Southeast. We stand shoulder to shoulder.
Join the Southeast family. Enroll today.
I chose manual because it's challenging and fun and it can help me with college.
I chose manual because I wanted to get a jump start in my career with culinary arts.
I chose manual to acquire skills I'd use in real life.
I chose manual because I want to be an ER doctor and be an EMT is my first step.
Kickstart your future today at Manual Career and Technical Center. Manual is open for all 11th and 12th grade students in both Kansas and Missouri. Learn more today at enrollkc.org/manual or call 816-418-5200.
Welcome to Homeroom. I'm Paul Turner, Social Studies Coordinator at Kansas City Public Schools. Today we're going to talk about westward expansion, basically for the period from 1877 to 1898. The lead up to westward expansion, new technology that was introduced to the West, and what happened to the Native Americans that were living out West. You need a pen and paper? Let's get started. So, our essential questions. We're going to explain the causes and effects of settlement in the West from 1870 to 1898. And what was the government response to the Native Americans that was occupying the land during this time period? So, the new technology. There was a whole lot of new technology that was introduced. We're going to talk about the refrigerator car. We're going to talk about all that good stuff, right? But the biggest one was the railroad, right? In the late 1800s, the railroad basically allowed the United States to go from sea to sign to sea, right? We basically let them manifest destiny, right? 1862, Congress got involved. Once Congress got involved, this basically led to western expansion. This led to places like Nebraska, places like Missouri to get a huge population, right? Because now you can get back and forth basically in a quicker manner with the railroad, right? 1862, Congress passed the Pacific Railroad Act. 4 of the 5 transcontinental railroads were built by 1890. So, as this became a part of the process, you started seeing basically people realizing there's more opportunity out west. More opportunity out west basically helped drive the population to move to the west. The biggest thing what the railroad did was create jobs and economic growth. Again, these guys were getting paid 5 miles a day. They were laying these tracks, but they were getting paid pretty good money. If I'm an immigrant, I'm foreshadowing that. If I'm an immigrant, this is good money for me. I'm coming to the United States, basically not knowing anybody. I can find a job on the railroad, right? And then Congress was not getting involved. They're basically practicing laissez-faire economics. What's laissez-faire economics? Basically, that's no government regulation on the railroad system. So now, if I'm a venture capitalist, if I'm somebody who has a lot of money, I can get involved in building these small railroads, right? Leading me all the way to the west. This is how people start building wealth. As we talk about the Gilded Age, as we're moving forward, part of this process, this basically generated people with lots of money, right? We'll talk about the Rockefellers. We're going to talk about, all these big capitalists. We're going to talk about J.P. Morgan. They were all involved in this process. So let's talk about the Irish immigrants. Basically, these guys were coming in basically to the United States. Railroad people was, looking for new bodies to come help build this road. This was taxing work. They were laying 5 miles a day on tracks, right? So you had to be big, you had to be strong. You earn pretty good money too by doing this. So if you're new to America, this is a great opportunity for you. So you start seeing a lot of Irish immigrants. So we start seeing a lot of Irish immigrants actually populating places like Nebraska, places like Wyoming, because they were on the railroad working. They saw this as a great opportunity to basically live that American dream that everybody was looking for. Asian immigrants, they populated on the West Coast, right? So you start seeing Asian immigrants basically building tracks from the West Coast to basically to Middle America, and then they end up meeting. Correct? So as this process started drawing on, you start seeing new Americans basically have an economic impact on building the railroad. 1869, they finished in Parliamentary Point, Utah, where they drove the final nail in. Right? So the good thing is, the railroad touched most of America. As you can see, these are all railroad lines. The Union Pacific, right? This is the biggest one. This is the one that Congress basically was involved in. They basically started in Nebraska, and started basically on the West Coast, the Sacramento, California, right? They met in Utah, drove on the final nail, Promontory Point, right? Then you have the Great Northern Railroad. That was the north, basically leading you up to places like Washington, leading you up to Oregon, right? Then you have the Northern Pacific. That led you through Minnesota, right?
What's the town? Is that your phone?
No. I don't know what that was.
Let's go. Just go back one slide.
Let's go back one slide. Okay.
All right. Here we go.
All right.
3, 2.
Okay. When Congress passed the Railroad Act, basically you start to see a lot of immigrants get involved basically with this American dream, because the railroads actually paid pretty good. They built 5 miles per day on track, right? But it was back-breaking work. You just had to drive those nails in the ground. So you had to be a pretty young man to do it. Old fogey like me, you know what? I'm not going to do it, right? Because I got a bad back. But a young guy, about 19, Irish immigrant, right? This would be a great opportunity for him. Plus, he gets to see the new layout of this new land that he's immigrated to. Irish immigrants on the West Coast, right? Basically, Irish came into the West Coast. They found the Asians coming to the West Coast. They saw this as a good opportunity for them. So, we're going to talk about the Union Pacific. They have one part that started in Sacramento, California, one part started in Omaha, Nebraska. They met up in Utah, basically driving their final nail in. So, this railroad was finally finished in 1869. It was basically started in 1862, so it took about 7 years for it to get started. Being finally finished, excuse me. So, let's look at these railroads. We're going to talk about the Union Pacific. That was the one that we just talked about. Congress authorized that in 1862. They started in Omaha, Nebraska, right? These guys started in basically Sacramento, California. They met in Utah to drive that final nail in. These people on the West Coast had to go through mountains, they had to blow up. It was a dangerous job because they had to build all this stuff. Plus, these guys had to deal with the Native Americans that was on that land already. That becomes another issue that we move forward in. Then, you talk about basically Northern Pacific Railroad. This one basically went through Minnesota, went to North Dakota, basically went to Montana, met up with the Great Northern Railroad. That was in Washington, went to Oregon. So all these started linking up. Then down in the South, you had the Southern Lines. That linked to basically the whole American South. This actually helped the American South basically get back on its feet. Remember, we talked about the collapse of the cotton industry. This helped the American South get back on their feet. Then you talk about the Santa Fe Railroad. That happened in basically New Mexico. That basically linked up to the Southern railroads. So all these people who was selling in the West basically were able to link up with the railroad system. Now we're going to talk about new technology such as telegraph and all that good stuff. That helped because of the railroad system. Because these people were starting to migrate to this area, correct? So you have the telegraph. Now you can get news from the West Coast, from the East Coast to the West Coast. That also led us into time zones, right? Now, I can set up different time zones. Basically, 4 different time zones were created because of the railroad. The railroad was huge. It was basically the biggest thing that happened since cell phones, right? You know how we think about cell phones? About 10 years ago, nobody had a smartphone. Now everybody has a smartphone, right? That was the railroad system. That was that new technology. Again, before the railroads hit, basically these lands were untouched. These lands were untouched. These Native American populations lived on it for years, right? Life after the Civil War changed basically the life of Native Americans in the plains because people started migrating to these areas. And this led to competition for land. You had competition between the Native American groups among themselves. You had competition between the now white settlers in these groups. And you had competition basically from Mexicans, right? Mexico was basically still part of this process. So now we basically have this huge internal conflicts because these lands belong to people during that time frame. Alright? So, I want you to understand that not all Native Americans are the same group. The Sioux, for instance, basically, they were growing. They were huge. They were running places basically from all the way from Missouri down to this area. That was the Sioux area, right? They were growing. This was their land. It was like, yo, this belongs to us, right? But the government, once they started sending settlers to the east, life started to change for the Native American population. No longer could they have free roam. They would start sent to reservations. They started becoming forced assimilated. It was brutal how basically the government started acting on them, right? So it was very brutal. They started being encroached on even when they basically signed these treaties with the American government. Still, the white settlers would still come and encroach on their lands, and this would create basically a huge war that was waged close to basically to 1900. So, we're going to talk about General George Custer. He found land basically in South Dakota. So once he found gold, people was like, whoa, he found gold out there. So you start seeing all these people basically flock on these Native American lands. Again, the Sioux, they was on these reservations because they were forced to sign these treaties with the United States government. So once that happened, we had warfare and carnage of basically a huge capacity. The Native Americans had to respond because the white men were basically encroaching on their land. Their lifestyle had changed. Remember, they were chasing the buffalo, right? So now the federal government sent hunters out there, basically slaughtered the whole buffalo. By 1900, there was less than 1,000 buffalo roaming wild in the West. So life was changing for the Native Americans. Again, they were forced to sign treaties. They were forced to assimilate. So these forced treaties basically pushed them to reservations. Once they got pushed on the reservations, nobody really cared about them, right? The federal government still had Indian agents going back and forth, but they were basically trying to assimilate these people. They were sending their kids to these schools run by Christian missionaries. They were cutting their hair, changing the language, and basically changing their names. No longer were they with the person they grew up as. Now they become Western assimilated, right? And there was huge atrocities that were happening in these schools too. Huge abuse and huge trauma. Native Americans didn't gain citizenship till 1924. That's another huge issue. They were the first ones here, but they didn't get citizenships till 1924. So now I want you to think about this whole process. We're going to talk what happened to the Native Americans. They got pushed, right, to these reservations, correct? Now their life has changed. No longer are they chasing the buffaloes anymore. So let's answer some questions together. Explain the causes and effects of settlements in the West from 1877 to 1898. The railroad, right? The railroad opened up the lands in the West for settlers to push out to the West. What was the government response to Native American populations that occupied the Western lands? Remember, they forced them to sign treaties. They forced assimilation on them. They basically forced their whole lifestyle to change. They killed the buffalo off, basically, so people can settle those lands. Now, I want you to do this. What other groups would you say have the same treatment as Native American population? Do you think this treatment is just a part of the American culture? Or we as people? I want you to write one-page paragraph explaining your thoughts on this process. Basically, who else was treated like this throughout basically history that we already discussed? Compare and contrast those two. Think about that as a long-term impact going forward based on United States history. I'm Paul Turner. Today we talked about new technologies to open up the West. We talked about the economic impact to open up the West. We talked about changing the lifestyles of Native American culture through opening up the West with the federal government's response to new technology. Thank you for coming to Homeroom. See you guys next week.